The Hive released their backrooms up to today, and there's a mountain of hidden lore, so let's get into it. The information we've been provided is that throughout the backrooms maps, there are 4 variants of maps with different aquariums, which are from the map's office, warehouse, and the replay cinema, as well as just nothing. There's a computer that you can type a password on only on the replay cinema map. On this computer, it gives you the company name QCSI, which stands for Quantitative Chemical Solutions Incorporated. Since it's regarded as incorporated, it means it's a corporation, aka business. There are also multiple QR codes that pop up secretly in the different variants of each map. If you scan each one of these, there are different websites that build up a story about Dr. Eleanor Voss. The following is the story of Dr. Eleanor and also a theory I've conducted. The first website begins in November of 1986 with Dr. Voss sending a message to all her colleagues talking about the supposed anomaly detected within Lab C37. The following day, Dr. Voss states that more anomalies have been detected throughout the facility. Next, in December of 1986, it stated the facility is abandoned, no employees, and an empty building with only the machinery running. It also states that the disappearances of employees have been reported. A year later, in November 1987, a whole year passes and Dr. Voss is hearing sounds like the sounds that her colleagues are but they're just illusions. Eleanor is talking to and emailing herself in these emails. There's no recipient. She's basically just writing this from herself to herself inside of this sort of backrooms place. In April 1988, Dr. Voss comes across a rose that blooms and becomes a wither rose. You can tell within this entry that Dr. Voss is losing her sanity, and the rose is remembered as important within this entry. May of 1988, the quote-unquote eyes are watching her through walls, through hidden areas. Wherever she's being constantly watched, she's being used as a specimen for the eyes. This concludes the first entries provided by the secret QR codes and the hidden maps. The overall key concepts to take away from this are the importance of the rose, the message that the rose is her salvation, and her ever-growing insanity. The second entries, however, is where things get a little more disturbing. So, all of these are from date unknown. There is no date provided. It is completely blacked out. But the time is provided, which is at 4 a.m. This entry doesn't document Dr. Voss, however, it documents the surveillance of her, documents her mental anguish and fallen insanity, and it states that the anomalies surrounding her are evolving in some way. The next set of logs are also provide a date unknown. And in this set of logs, it has information that you become aware of this surveillance. It documents protocols in a scenario of a rebuttal to that of which a team will document recent studies of Dr. Voss's activity. Lastly, it documents her interactions with these anomalies. The final document in this part of the website also has date unknown, and it says to destroy all evidence of this experiment, terminate everything, and forget that it ever happened. The reason for this was Dr. Voss has been interacting with this anomaly specifically, and has also had unquote erratic behavior. This was documented as a complete reset, all identities and data logs to be discarded and removed of immediately. All of this comes from Observation Command, and my current stance on these documents are that she is either being watched willingly, more likely it is unwillingly, as apparently she is trying to escape rather than get information for her and her colleagues. She is interacting with a supposing anomaly, which could be the Wither Rose, or it could be the Ender Dragon entity seen throughout every single one of the maps. These final documents document the past before Dr. Voss's exposure to the experiment. June 25th, 1986, reports of power surges inside the facility are documented, as well as a surplus of office supplies being missing from the supply room on level 3. The coffee machines on levels 2 and 4 have been dispensing lukewarm water. Elevator B has malfunctioned and is out of order, as well as parking lights becoming out of order. The next document states the influx of data corruptions and malfunctions, suggested to be linked to magnetic interference. Note, it states for everyone to remove all magnetic material as well as to start reporting anomalies. July 7th, 1986, we're introduced to a new character, John. All of these emails have been directed towards all staff members of QCSI. But now, this email is directed towards only John. This is the email that is figured out how to sign into the computer in the Backrooms map, and the instructions are as follows. July 8th documents Bring Your Child to Work Day, which is announced, and on the 18th, party-themed rooms were added with toys and gift boxes for the kids. But weirdly, in the next document, it states that on the 15th of July, Bring Your Child to Work Day was cancelled. Then why would decorations be put up 3 days later? And the reason for its cancellations are that the facility has become too dangerous. October 10th, 1986, 1 month before Dr. Voss's experiment and descent into madness, it's noted that the recreational pool at the facility has closed down, probably in reference to the pool inside of the map. This cancellation was due to the lack of routine inspections, but employees are also told not to inspect or go near any pools during a 2-week period of closing. That is all piece of information that had been provided from the hidden websites for QR codes. And with that information, this is my overall theory on the matter. The rose has to have massive implications, and one thing about the rose is that it turns into a wither rose. A wither rose can be found next to a computer on the Backrooms map, which may indicate the secret way to put in your password. But there's also a wither rose inside of the Hive hub. My main theory is that this Backrooms area was created from the Hive's castle. First of all, there are multiple instances of shared items inside of the Backrooms as well as inside of the castle. Be that seats, tables, bookshelves, and that wither rose is also inside of the castle, and it's also in the Backrooms, which is a key detail. My current theory is that the Hive is in a so-called different dimension from the world in the emails. The world in the emails seems to be the real world that we live in. The Backrooms seem to be a connector to the two worlds, supposedly. Dr. Eleanor Voss is an important character within this story, and she seems to be the one who is the main subject of her own experiment. Throughout the map, there are hidden labs and portal doors which indicate that these Backrooms are a different dimension and not an actual facility. But the recreational pool is also in the map as well as the furniture from the Hive castle. This again contributes to my theory that the worlds are colliding. Another key point to be noted is that in the Block Party hub, Dr. Zuck, which seems to be experimenting on like greenery and ducks, it seems fitting that the only doctor in the canonical Hive lore, I know that sounds really dumb, but the canonical Hive lore would be studying a phenomenon like this. But another key note is that in the actual Backrooms, there are no plants. Like in the actual Backrooms, there's 0 plants. If there were plants, survival would be way simpler. But for some reason, plants are everywhere here. And I mean everywhere. Sugarcane, custom hive plant models, literally everything. So this could maybe be a reason why Dr. Zuck is studying plants in his facility in Block Party. I think so. The last key point worth of noting is that Rose. The emails and surveillance inside of the Backrooms constantly mention her obsession with the Rose. Is the Rose the anomaly like it implies? I personally don't think so. I think this anomaly is not what is being clear. Remember those eyes watching her? Well, throughout all variants of the Backrooms map, there is an Ender Dragon entity hidden within walls like she says, as well as the pool and many other different places. I believe this is our entity that is mentioned, and what is another key thing scattered across each map is a mannequin. I believe that the Ender Dragon represents the entity, and the mannequin represents Eleanor. If we're told through surveillance that Eleanor has been interacting with this entity before the data clear plan, well then that info from my theory becomes even more plausible. In some of the variations of the Backrooms map, you can find a mirror in the bathroom, and wouldn't you know it, the entity and the mannequin are together in the same room. This rose, however, seems to be the key factor that can solve this mystery. The Wither Rose is seen in the Hive Hub very clearly in its own room, and it's inside of the Backrooms. Further indication that the Hive's castle is colliding with these Backrooms and the real world. One final thing is the significance of John. It's the only email that's sent to him specifically, which is the only email that has the instructions to open the computer on the Backrooms map. I think that we're all playing as test subjects on this map from the Hive's world, and while we're exploring this map, maybe John is trying to unlock the computer for QCSI. Once more information is released, however, I might make a part 2, but for now, this was just a theory, a Hive theory. Thanks for watching.